We're back here, David D, hanging out with you this afternoon. Sitting in front of me is Slug from the group Atmosphere, part of the legendary crew Rhyme Sayers. How are you all doing, man? And how many people's in the Rhyme Sayers? Y'all is like a awesome lineup. And, you know, and as we're sitting here talking, I see my boy Son Jones from Living Legends. Man, what would it be like to have all y'all in the same room doing a cypher?
Well, you know, it's funny because we did that tour last summer, the Paid Dues tour, where we did get, you know, there was like 4 groups from Rhyme Sayers, like all the Living Legends, some of the Def Jux, Cats, you know, we all came together to do this tour, and I think it was the first time, you know, we all know each other, and we all see each other at shows, or maybe backstage at places and whatever, but it was the first time where you would see each other, like, right after you brushed your teeth, or see each other, you know, and really stick with each other, and I think that, like, a lot of the friendships that came out of that, you know, a lot of the egos had to be over here. People didn't bring their ego to the table. People just brought who they were to the table, and it was kind of like indie hip-hop summer camp. It was a beautiful thing. We were out for like 3 weeks, and I do see how that kind of a session could come off. Like if really we was still be like, hey, let's start rapping, let's form a circle. Like I could see it really working because you got so many people who actually ended up being cool with each other that it would turn into like a pretty positive energy kind of a thing. You know, whereas 5 years ago it might have been different because there's more competition. Right. Cats got to outdo each other. You know, who had the flyest rhymes. Cats weren't really networking as close. Now I think it would be kind of a great thing.
I often cite those 4 camps: Living Legends, Rhyme Sayers, Def Jux. There's a 4th camp that will come to me in a second. Stone's Throw, thank you. That I often cite as, you know, artist collectives that are the success stories in hip hop in terms of Hyro. Hyro would be the 4th, right? Hyro and Quantum, right? So I often cite you guys as examples of people who are very successful doing 30, 40 city tours. You know, able to move some units. You know, considering, you know, the level that you're on, you don't have the machine behind you,
right.
and doing pretty well for yourselves, putting out albums, an enormous fan base, and it seems to fly in direct contradiction of what the industry says. Oh, the music industry is dying. I'm like, well, Hyro did pretty well. Right. They got a warehouse. Rhyme Sayers seemed to be doing well. They was on a 30-city tour.
Right.
You know, Paid Dues did quite well for Living Legends.
Right.
So, first question, what is the big lesson that some of these commercial giants are missing that you guys have managed to capitalize on? And then from the Rhyme Sayers standpoint, what have you learned from your brother and sister groups? You know, what have you learned from Living Legends? What have you learned from Hyro, Quantum, and the others that you now incorporate in the Rhyme Sayers backdrop?
I think, well, for starters, let's deal with the first part of the question. With the majors, you know, from what I could see, at least coming from our camp, you know, we do adopt some of the routines that the majors do because you see certain things and it becomes, you know, that's the way certain things are done. That's the way retailers work. That's the, you know, but what they don't know is that there are certain things we just can't afford to do, so we skip those things and we just get right to the actual artist to fan type work. And I think if the majors did that, like also looked at what indies don't do, and stopped doing some of those things themselves, you know, it could go back to being more focused on what do people want to enjoy from music. You know, right now it's like, man, the music industry is selling lifestyles nowadays. It's not even just selling you a record no more. It's selling you everything that comes with the record, from the look to the this to the that. And it's like, if that's the case, just everybody break it up, divest it. Really, if you're going to sell clothes, then go sell clothes. But you don't have to use the clothes to make up for the fact that you lost a whole bunch on the video. You don't have to use the ringtone to make up for the fact that you lost a whole bunch on them shoes.
But you guys have sold lifestyle and seem to do it well without having that problem.
But the lifestyle that we sell is more of an identity that comes with you. Like, I don't really have a pair of shoes to tell you about, or like kids don't look at me and see what I'm wearing and then go cop the same gear. You know what I mean? It's like it's like the lifestyle that I'm selling, the fashion, the whatever, is just be yourself kind of a thing, like how it was for me as a kid. You know what I mean? So it's not quite the same as where I see like some of the majors get way too involved in the artist, I guess is one way to put it, because at the independent level, the record label just works for the artist's music. Get the music out there, and that's it. It stays meat and potatoes. Now, don't get me wrong. Ourselves, as well as some of these other independent labels, if we could come up with some ideas on how to make extra money on the side, cats would. Everybody wants to divest and get into other things, but it's just a matter of we can't afford to do that right now. So everything is focused on just the music for the most part.
What have you learned from Living Legends or Hyro or, Def Jux?
I mean, I think the most of the things that I learned from any of these crews is just the complexity inside of the humanity. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see the legends, and what I see is how those guys deal with their fans and interact with their fans is a whole new thing to me, or it was back in the day, because I'm looking at them. Nobody knew who I was when I started staring at the legends, and I saw how the legends, were really out there in front of the venues, handing out their tapes, handing out their CDs, talking to these kids, walking off with the kids to go to the next party. You know what I mean?
That's that Bay Area hustle.
I saw that, and I saw that and was like, that makes sense, and it looks like it's fun, and it looks like it feels good. It looks like the energy is right, And that was one of the things for me, this is granted prior to any rise for Atmosphere. That was one of the things that I remember the first time I got out to the Bay, I saw the way, it was at the time, we were at a show with them, and I saw the way them dudes dealt with their fans, and was like, that's what's up. That's everybody should deal with their fans like that.
Right. Chubb Rock had that old saying, treat them right, and it seems like on a more commercialized level, people have completely forgot that. And the thing that I get with you guys collectively is that there are Atmosphere fans. Like, they're looking at you like the way people feel about Jay Dilla. Like, man, I'm an Atmosphere fan, and that's a very different type of take than the things that are kind of force-fed to us on radio. It's like they're fans of the radio station, fans of Summer Jam concerts, Sam of MTV, but they're not always a fan of those artists, which can become interchangeable. And the experiment that I often put out there is that I can run up to people that are familiar with you guys, and they can tell me all the Living Legend albums. Right. They can tell you all of your songs. They know it back to back. But if I tell the fan of an MTV or BET who was the big hit artist last year, they couldn't tell you if it was Beyonce or Christina Aguilera or if it was Mike Jones or, they don't know because it seems like there's no connection.
I mean, yeah, and it's like, I feel like you say these things and I start thinking about it all and I want to start talking about it, and then I'm like, well, I'm just contradicting what I just said the last time, because now I'm going, well, you know what, the hot thing of the moment, I guess that is part of the lifestyle sell. But isn't that kind of how a lot of us, our lives are now, based around not just music, but just what we consume for media, what we consume, like everything is so fast paced. You know what I'm saying?
But you all kept it timeless for yourself, whereas the other people, it's disposable.
I think a lot of that comes from the fact, though, that, for instance, if you know about us, there's a part of you that feels like you know something that the rest of the world don't know, and that's a big thing for an identity, especially like in a 17 or 18-year-old, to know that you're up on something that a lot of people ain't up on. There's pride in that, and I think that's where it starts. And then once they get in, they deal with us, and it's so human. Our interactions with them is like, it is what it is. Like, if you cool with me, I'm gonna give you everything, more than the time of day. But on the real, if you step to me wrong, I'm gonna treat you the way that I should. And people see that, and really, they see it. They see the human side of it. I don't got no bodyguard pushing me out of there, no autographs. You know what I mean? I'm the dude that will sit there and I will sign autographs all day. And the minute that one drunk frat boy comes over here and says something out of pocket in front of all these girls, I'm gonna call him out and humiliate him in front of these girls so that he understands these are consequences. This is real life. I'm a real dude. I'm not just a guy on your TV set. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think that goes a long way. I think that kind of realness, and I use the word realness loosely, obviously, but that kind of just real humanness that I saw in the legends, that I see in the Hyrocast, they were one of the first ones to really show me that too. When they started coming and hitting Minneapolis, I'm like sitting here, chopping it up with A+. And I'm just like, dude, this guy don't even know I got every 12-inch he's on. I got, but he's sitting there chopping it up with me like I'm just a normal dude. I'm not even a fan, and this is before he even knew I rapped. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff, man, I learned a lot from that. Because I always was like, that's how I always envisioned if I ever got to meet my heroes. If I ever got to meet Big Daddy Kane, he's just going to be like, hey, what's up? And I'm going to be like, hey, I got your records, I'm a fan. But when I got to meet like the newer dudes, like the legends and Hyro coming up, it wasn't so much like, oh, rock star. It was more like, you're like me, we could talk about real things, I think we try to keep that, man. We try to keep that in regard whenever we're dealing with fans,
We've been talking with Slug. We'll be right back.